Hey everybody, CamiBaker.com here. I am fabulous, fierce, and on fire. Kind of. I can barely get it out. But even when I'm not fabulous, fierce, on fire, I am fabulous, fierce, on fire. And it is Friday, and we're with friends, and we are featuring Jeff Bloom. And I am super excited to have Jeff with you guys today because not only does he help people with mediation so that they save money and they can be the judge in their own divorce proceedings and business litigations and things like that, but he's also a TV show host right out of New York City. He is a John Maxwell certified coach. He's just got a lot of fun stuff going on. And the good news for Jeff is my voice is so bad today, I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut a little bit more and let him do most of the talking. So Jeff, share with the audience a little bit, actually share with them a little bit how you and I met and this new platform of your TV show that we're both so excited about.
Well, thanks, Cami. Cami and I met inadvertently on Facebook. She was promoting something, or I saw a friend of hers.
It was a TV show.
And Cami, I think I contacted her. She introduced me to Cami, or vice versa. I'm trying to remember now. It's been a while. In fact, I hired Cami. I've been working with her for about 2 months now, I think, right around there. Really helped me kind of get to the next level and doing what I'm doing, which has resulted in my new project, my TV show that's come up. I was in the media. I did a radio show for a few years on different radio stations. And so that's my next platform, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But my main practice is I'm a mediator. And the bulk of my practice is family and divorce issues. And I help people, resolve their issues without going through the pain and the cost and the time of litigation. They get to keep their time, money, and most importantly, their sanity by going through the mediation process. And I've been doing it now 6 years, 4 years, a little over 4 years full time in my own practice, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Every case is different, and that's kind of what I've been doing.
Well, I know I have learned since working with Jeff a lot about mediation. I've actually been through divorce twice, but it was so simple. There were no kids. There was no property. It was one piece of paper. I'm not yours. You're not mine. Bye. See ya. It was really easy for me, but I didn't know. So there's 3 things that Jeff and I have come up with that he really helps people to key in on as to what the ultimate result is in working with a mediator as opposed to a litigator. Tell them what those 3 things are, Jeff.
Time, money, and sanity. In New York, for example, we'll talk about the money thing because that's the biggest thing. You're going to spend anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 each for a retainer, right? So you're looking at $10,000 to $30,000, and that's going to be not going to be all inclusive. No matter what happens, your attorneys are going to use that retainer up and so forth. So mediation generally costs less than $6,000 total, soup to nuts. And I hear horror stories all the time. I've met people. I've written some stories and things for when I was going through my master's degree in negotiation dispute resolution. One lady, she was going through a divorce with her husband, 3 sons. They spent the children's college education funds. They had to sell real estate in 5 years plus later. Divorce is finalized, but all their assets are gone. And I hear stories like that all the time. People come up to me, where were you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? I didn't know mediation existed. And people get the wrong information as well. Attorneys will tell them, mediation, you can't do that. You need somebody to fight for what you're entitled to. And no good attorney worth their salt can guarantee any type of outcome because you never know what a judge is going to do. You just don't. You know what the law is, you know what some decisions are, but you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Why not sit in a room together and with a person who's a neutral third party like myself, get through the issues, everything that goes into the agreement, into the final paperwork is what you both want, not what somebody tells you what to do.
And you get to be the judge, not the judge.
Right. The parties are the judge. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I had no idea when Jeff and I first started working together. I thought, what? That's crazy. So not only does Jeff help to mediate and help you save money, save sanity, and you be the judge, not the judge, but he also trains people to be mediators. And he has trained with some of the biggest corporations, even the military, the U.S. military. Tell us a little bit about your training background, Jeff, and why it is that you've become such a fabulous trainer.
Well, while I was in the Air Force, when I was stationed in Germany, I became an instructor trainer. I taught a 2-week academic instructor's course, teaching other people how to speak and be instructors. And that was worth college credits through the Community College of the Air Force. I was one of only 2 people in all of United States Air Force Europe teaching that course and certified to teach it. And it was a lot of fun. We would tape participants, we would review how they did. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a 2-week course. While I was there, the American Red Cross certified me as an instructor trainer, and I certified Red Cross instructor trainers. And I did that always up until I got out of the military. From Germany, I went to Texas, and then I was teaching Red Cross there also. And so it seemed like a natural thing to me, creating plans, agendas, working the class around the people and making it interesting. And when I got into mediation, from the very time I first started, I knew I wanted to train at some point, but I had to become experienced first and do it for a while. So it's just like Cami's always said, you have to be authentic, you got to be real, you can't make things up, and you lead by example. So about a year ago, I decided to start developing some of the training programs that I've been teaching. I have a 3-day introduction course to divorce mediation, a 5-day basic course, 40 hours, which is certification to be mediator. And then I have a how to build your mediation, which is kind of like a half-day, what do you do? A lot of these training courses that are out there, which is one of the reasons I built this last course I just talked about, is they don't tell you what to do afterwards. Maybe an hour, maybe half hour, if you're lucky, is spent on how to build your practice. That's not enough time. And people spend these thousands of dollars for training, and they don't do anything with it. So that's my mission.
There's so many directions that we could go with all the things that you do. And I know that you're also John Maxwell certified, which tells me that you're heart-centered and that you've been hanging around with some of the right people. What was it that made you choose John Maxwell to be the direction to go when you decided to get certified?
Well, for many years, I've been plugged into, leaders and motivational speakers and things like that. Excuse me, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Darren Hardy, who you and I both follow on a regular basis, and came the opportunity certification with John Maxwell, and I looked into it, and I thought that leadership and making people become better versions of themselves is very similar to mediation and what I do in mediation. And just an example of that is I've had over the 6 years I've been mediating, I've had, I want to say 2 or 3 couples that decided not to get divorced because they learned to communicate during the mediation process. And in all fairness, one of them came back about 1.5 years, 2 years later, and they got divorced. But they tried, right? So in helping people become better versions of themselves, why not go into the leadership realm and have materials and help people on the other end, on the business end, on a personal level. So I thought it was a natural kind of flow, and it gave me other services, valuable services to offer.
I've met John Maxwell and seen him speak, I think 4 times at a group that I used to be a part of. And my God, he's so natural. He's so relaxed.
He's real.
I remember how he would just, have his little stool and he'd sit there and he had some notes, so it wasn't like he was always off the cuff. And he was like, my name is John and I'm your friend. I can see how having someone like that as a mentor for you would help in a situation that is so full of fire, and just to sit down and say, hey, look, I'm your friend here, I'm just helping you guys out.
And what's even more amazing about him, and we have the certification conferences twice a year in Orlando, and he's not surrounded like by bodyguards, and he doesn't usher himself out, and he walks through the hall and he'll stop and say hello and shake your hand, and he doesn't rush around. It's totally different. It's not like some of the other speakers you see where you can't even get within touching distance, let alone see them. So he's very real. He's very down to earth. Kind of a funny story about how I got involved with him was before that, like I said, I was plugging into Tony Robbins, which I still do, and I like, and I have his CDs and the Darren Hardys, and John is like a very mellow, right, compared to them, very low key. When I first heard him, I was like, this is horrible. I'm not getting anything from this guy. And then when I went and saw him in person, then I got to see, like you said, he's humble. He doesn't like to be put on a pedestal, and I'll tell you that. And when he says he's your friend, he means it. So to see him in person is so different than, trying to listen to him on a tape or anything. He comes across much better in person.
Well, it's funny you say that, because for me, I also resonate with people in different communication styles. So Tony Robbins, I've gone to see him live. I walked on fire about 15 years ago with Tony Robbins, and I love seeing him live. I love listening to him, but I'm not crazy about reading his books.
Okay.
So just, different communication. Whereas John Maxwell, I love reading his books.
Yes.
I've actually highlighted, made notes in them, and I actually sent my mother a copy of one, which was a big waste of money. But yeah. So what I also want to talk about is your TV show that you have coming up. I'm so excited about the set and about the name of the show and about all the opportunity for you to bring your national exposure and some of the national people that you have interviewed, and take all that experience and bring it to your local community and help the local folks get some publicity. Talk to us about a couple of the people that you've interviewed over the years, and now what you're wanting to do for the local community.
Yeah. Because of my plugging into the the right people and the leadership and stuff like that. Just prior to this, for about a year which was the last radio station I had, I did a radio show, and things developed, right? You never know what will lead into the next. And I had the honor and privilege of interviewing on my radio show Jack Canfield, Les Brown, Laura Langmeyer, a couple of main names that I remember. And I had changed the format, because you look at things, see what works. And initially the name of my radio show was Ask the Mediator. And that's how it started.
Huh.
And so that's what I did. And then I realized there's only so much you can talk about mediation. It's an interesting topic. People call and ask questions, but it just, only so much you can talk about. So then I changed the title and came up with a logo, 360 Degrees to Success. And not only it allowed me to talk about my mediation, my practice when I needed to, but it allowed me to bring on other people in the local area and other businesses to talk about their successes and failures and what it takes. And there's no such thing as an overnight success like people think. And that led me to getting Jack Canfield, and it's kind of a funny story how I got Jack Canfield on. If we have time, I could share that. But
go ahead and share it. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. So I went to a mastermind retreat at Jack Canfield's home in Santa Barbara, California in March of last year. It was 2 days, very intense training. And again, he's a real I'm your friend type guy also. And people go around the room and they're talking and they were promoting their books and different things. And I had gotten up and I had said, and I have a radio show. So if anybody's interested in being a guest on my show, let me know, no charge. I'd like to offer that to everybody. Jack said that was very nice. And by the way, I did get some other interviews from that group as well. One lady from Singapore came on via Skype. So I created a lot of good relationships like that. So we're sitting out at the pool Jack had said, he talked about marketing himself and being on radio and TV. And in the beginning, he went on anything and everything, right, to be on. But now he picks and chooses what he goes on to see if it's worth it. And so we're out by the pool, and he's asking me about my radio show. And I'm thinking, should I ask him to be on the show? And, my show's not, ABC or Good Morning America or anything like that. But Jack teaches in his principles, ask, right? So if you don't ask, you'll never know. He says, we all do that as kids. We won't take no as an answer, but as adults, we don't do that. So I'm telling him about the show and everything. And he said, and I said, Jack, it would be great. I'd be love to have you on my show one time. Send me the information and I'll get back to you. Okay, that's fair. So as we were talking even before that, we were talking about the book Think and Grow Rich. And he showed me he had the original version of Think and Grow Rich. There was another book written by Napoleon Hill called, I think, something with the devil. I'm trying to remember the exact title.
Mm.
Jack had never heard about it. So in a package that I sent him about the radio show, I sent him the book as well. And so that was in March. And then finally he was able to work his schedule in, I want to say it was September of that same year he was on my radio show. So that's how I got Jack on. It was great. It was very good, very great. Les Brown was very, very good also. And, these are real people who care about other people, want to help them develop. And that's my story. So now I move into my new production. I got a production staff, and we're doing a TV show on Cablevision Altice. They keep changing the names, or it's one and the same. And it's going to be a half-hour show on Tuesdays. I haven't got the exact time yet. That's going to be broadcast. But I'm going to be putting the recordings on my YouTube and my website and things like that, and giving back to the community and the local business people. Same principle. Having people on who've been successful, who started from, when they used to work for somebody, now they don't anymore, and what worked and what didn't. And I kind of gives people a good sense of, hey, I can do it too.
Well, and we can throw out there, to your point, anyone in the New York City area who is a go-getter, a mover, a shaker, you've got a message and a mission and magic and a method to your madness. I don't know where it comes from. It's just me. You can reach out to Jeff about a show. Now, we're not saying you're qualified. We don't know if you're going to get on. There's a certain process, and he's only got a certain amount of spaces. But just like with Jack Canfield, you don't know unless you ask. And another guy that I had on this same show, Brian Wright, interviewed Darren Hardy, and he was sharing that, it's all in good timing too, because Darren Hardy, being who he is now, can't just be on any and every radio show either. But he happened to be promoting a new book that was coming out at the time, and other people who were going to interview him never read the book. And so the publicist called Brian and said, look, Darren can't be on your show. We can't just be on all these shows. People aren't reading the book. They don't know what's going on. Well, Brian was smart enough. He had already read the book. He said, oh, does he want to talk about this? And the publisher says, oh, so you have read the book. So it's all about asking. It's all about timing. And it's all about being prepared, which, is one of the things that I teach. One of the things you and I talked about is research, reach out, relationship build. Research. So anybody that wants to be on your show, Jeff, do some research on Jeff, learn a little bit about him, reach out to him, start building that relationship and see if he'll have you on the show. Now, which brings me to another direction with that. I know that you're also doing some speaking in your general area, and of course, we'll be taking it nationwide as well. Share with our audience some of the areas that you're in. I say New York City because it makes it simple for me, but my God, there's only 5 million people in that area. What are some of the areas that you're physically in that you would be interested or open to serving people to share with them? Because look, guys, if you have a business group, if you have something as simple as a divorcee support group, or even business groups, to hear how Jeff explains what mediation does as opposed to litigation. I mean, just that one story of that couple going through 3 kids' college funds, fighting through a litigation, as opposed to they could have potentially given Jeff $6,000, mediated it, been done, everybody's happy and gone to college and life is good. But they just didn't know, they didn't understand. So share with people where you're at and what kind of groups you're looking for to talk to.
Well, again, it's all about education. And I always tell people, and I'm a rare mediator, whereas if somebody calls me, I'll invite them to call a couple attorneys, call a couple mediators. Mediators don't like to do that because they think if somebody talks to an attorney, they'll lose them. But I think people are better off making an educated decision. So 5 or 10 years from now, they talk to mediators, they talk to attorneys, and they know they made a decision based on the information they got. So it's all about educating the public, letting them know that this option is out there, and not getting misinformed. And they get misinformed a lot of times, and there are good attorneys out there, but there are attorneys out there, most of them will tell them, no, don't go to mediation. It doesn't work, and you can't do it. And a mediator's got to be an attorney, which is totally false, a big myth. And the reason is, and there are attorney mediators, but the problem with that is some attorneys don't go through any kind of mediation training. And because they're an attorney, they just hold themselves out as mediators. And being trained as an advocate and fighting for somebody versus a neutral third party are so different. It's craziness. And you can't give legal advice, and you can't represent one of the parties. So, again, people need to be informed. So, and the more people are informed, the busier it'll be for all of us mediators. Because people said to me, Jeff, what about all these mediators you're training, and isn't that competition? The more of us out there, the more work there is for everybody.
Isn't it sad how people live in a place of competition, keep your secrets to yourself and all that? No, it's about collaboration and the law of abundance. So once again, these are all things that people need to hear. And the best way to educate them is to get on that stage and to share with people. So what areas do you do those talks in?
I've done them at networking groups. I've done them at other type of venues where there were other business people talking, kind of like not so much a roundtable, like a panel discussion. I've done it in a church when we were talking about like elder issues and people who are home health aides, not so much home health aides, but I think about the term, when you're taking care of a loved one, caregivers. And what a nightmare that is. And people have no time to themselves. It's work to taking care of mom or dad and vice versa. And a lot of the problems in regards to mediating those issues, which is different in family divorce, but it's still family. And what happens is it's usually one sibling that's taking care of mom or dad. The other siblings are nowhere to be found until something happens to mom or dad and the will comes out and everybody comes running, right? And so some of the issues are mom or dad maybe only told what they wanted to the one sibling there. I don't want to be kept alive by a machine. This is my quality of life. This is what I want. But they don't put it in writing. They don't do a healthcare proxy. And then the other siblings are, we want mom to stay alive. And now mom's hooked up the machine that she didn't want. Or even trying to get the families together to help with mom. So it's not just one sibling that's responsible all the time. So these are mediation issues in many different aspects.
What kind of group? So that's a great point. So that's another kind of mediation that I didn't even know of that you do. What are some groups that if you said this is the kind of group that if I spoke to them, I could educate them before it gets to that level? Like, are there support groups or something for those types of folks?
Yeah, there are divorce support groups. There are single parent groups. There are, the group we just talked about, the people who are caring for the relatives. They have
caregivers.
Caregivers. They have like these respite type meetings, things that I've got involved with in the past, where they'll come out once a month just to get away, and then part of the groups, what they'll do is they'll provide a health aid for a couple hours and they get out, because some of them can't even afford to have somebody with mom or dad or whoever they're taking care of, which is why their time is just crazy. So any type of group, just even if I just get out there and just talk about something that maybe nobody even thought about, and even in regards to the family and divorce issues, even if they're not going through that or haven't gone through that, everybody knows somebody who has or is going through. So it's good education, getting the word out there, letting people know that this option exists.
So it's fair to say to the people who are watching, if you are a member of or a leader of, especially a leader or an organizer of a group, and you like to educate your people, you like to keep them informed about what's going on in a lot of different things. I come in and I talk about networking, or I come in and I talk about cause marketing, how to use a cause to market your business, or I come in and talk to people about being a speaker. Jeff can come in and help your folks understand the difference between mitigation and litigation, and all these things that I keep learning as your partner in all this. Now, you also can do talks, as we've just talked about with the training. So there are people out there that are maybe looking for a new career, that are kind of wondering, well, what do I want to do for a new career? What kind of trainings do you do with training the mitigators?
Right. Yeah, and that's what I do also. And you're right, they want to start a new career. Is this something they want to do? That's also why I developed my 3-day course. Most places you'll see or trainings, they'll have a 5-day, 40-hour course, and the prices range anywhere from $1,400 to $1,800. And I thought about, why? And they're good courses. But if that's your first step, people might be saying, well, why do I want to spend $1,600 if I'm something I'm not sure about, if this is what I want to do? So I have a 3-day introductory course, which is much less expensive. Right now, my price point is $697 for 3 full days of training, and see if this is something you want to do. And then if you go into my next course, a 5-day or more advanced course, and obviously you get a significant discount, so you're not spending another $1,680, $1,800. Or even if you go to somebody else, you have that basis. You have that, okay, this is something I want to do. This is definitely something I want to do versus, again, spending $700 versus $1,800 and deciding it's not something that you can or want to do. Big difference.
So, Jeff, we've talked a lot about many different things that you do. You help people to save money, to be the judge in their own situations with divorce and also with this other family law. I didn't even think about that. You are helping people to be seen and be heard on your TV show. Talk to us a little bit about what you might be looking for as far as guests for your show. Is there a certain kind of avatar? I mean, 360 degrees to success can mean a lot of things. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for, at the initial level, business owners, entrepreneurs, people who, again, are successful and want to share their stories. And then I'll also do a couple of human interest type stories. There's a good friend of mine, Jeffrey Deskovic, and he created Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation. He was wrongfully convicted of murder at 16 and spent 16 years in jail. And now he's helping other people and get exonerated and things like that. So I want to have him on my show on a regular, semi-regular basis. He's been on my radio show as well. But these are like important human interest stories that need to get out there. And I didn't believe things like this happened until I met him 4 years ago. Even when I first met him, and he told the story and how he confessed to a murder he didn't do, a rape and a murder, I always thought, and even then I said, oh, people confess they did it. It's not true. So other human interest stories like that as well, but always keeping it on somewhat of at least a positive level, because even Jeff, we could talk about how he has succeeded since then. He's in his second year of law school now, right? He could have said, oh, woe is me, this happened to me, that happened to me, and kind of crawled in a hole, but he didn't do that. So trying to keep it on that same maybe upward level and just see how people overcome adversity and they do things no matter what the circumstances are.
People really like to see that. There's so much other negative stuff out there that we all want to see the positive. We want to see where people have been able to turn around and pick it up. So to bring our half hour to a close, what is being a John Maxwell certified coach, having interviewed and spent time at Jack Canfield's house? I mean, you obviously rub elbows with some of the best thought leaders and visionaries. What are a couple of things that you would tell our viewers to stay in that 360 degrees of success? Like, what are some things that you do on a daily basis to remain in a positive mindset?
And it's not always easy, right? We both know not how. So there are things like affirmations that I learned, and before that, and I've heard about them over the years, and I always thought how silly they were, and it doesn't work. But if you talk about where you want to be and what you want to do as if it's in the present, everything changes, right? Your mind, the way you sit, the way you stand, and we all go through crap, right? It doesn't always work 100% of the time. But how many times have you gotten up and things just aren't going right? This happened, that happened, and you say to yourself, boy, what else can go wrong? Guess what happens? Everything, right? The whole day goes like that. Versus if you just put it aside and you just kind of switch and change your mindset. I don't know if you ever heard of Mel Robbins. She talked about the 5-second rule.
I've heard the name, but tell us the rule.
She talks about the 5-second rule, and that if you think too much about something, you'll never do it. One of the many examples, one of the main ones she talks about is when her alarm goes off in the morning, her rule is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When it hits 1, her feet are on the floor. No hitting the snooze, nothing like that. If you got to do something, you got to work on a project, and we all have things that we want to do versus what we have to, what we like to do. So things that you don't like to do, but you have to do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start and do it.
Like make that phone call.
Right. Make the phone call, send that email. It's we're uncomfortable with the things we like to do that we know are going to be good, but some things we don't. And I've learned that from Cami as well, working with her.
I love that you brought up affirmations, because the name of this show is Fabulous, Fierce, and on Fire, Fridays with Friends featuring, because when people ask me how I am, and I don't have on my Fabulous, Fierce, on Fire shirt today, When people ask me how I am, I always say I'm fabulous, fierce, and on fire. And sometimes I'll throw in another F explicative in there if the filter is right.
That's very true. Because when I ask Cami how she's doing, she always says that.
And you know what? Here's the thing. People are going to ask you all day, how are you? How are you? How are you? You already know they are. And do you want to affirm I'm good, I'm okay, I'm getting by? Or do you want to affirm something that really turns you on? And so not only when I say that, does it charge me up? Not only does it, is it a way for me to do an affirmation over and over and over all day, but it is a great conversation starter. When I get on the phone with somebody brand new that's never talked to me before, and they always say, how are you? And I say that, it breaks the ice immediately. They laugh, they giggle, male, female, they always are like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Or usually they just kind of laugh. And I can say, you know what, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say that one more time today. And it can create a 5-minute conversation sometimes just because I say that. So when you're in a situation, being an entrepreneur, a business owner, you're going to be communicating with people all day. You're going to be meeting them at networking events. You're going to be talking to them about being on your TV show. You're going to meet them at the line at Dunkin' Donuts, whatever it is. Go ahead and as I like to say, exercise your muscle. Don't be Pavlov's dog. The bell rings, ding, ding, ding. How are you? And you salivate, I'm good. I'm good. Use your muscle. Think about how do you really want to be, because that can be your affirmation. So Jeff Bloom, how are you?
Great. Doing great.
Awesome. Great. Doing great. And you got that little grin on your face, and I felt your body like, yep, I'm great. I'm doing great. I love that. So it's that that actual physiological shift in our body from I'm great as opposed to I'm good, because you see people do that all the time. So,
or even worse, they tell you the negative, right?
I say that again.
Or even worse, they go into the negative. Well, you want to know. That was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, or they start talking about the weather or how sick they are. Ugh. We don't want to leave on that note. So I am fabulous, fierce, on fire. My clients are yummy, delicious, like Jeff Bloom. I am super excited about your TV show. I am planning on coming down to New York City and doing some kind of a tour. I'm thinking maybe July, when it's really, really hot and it really, really stinks there. And people really, really, really want to get into some air conditioning, and they can come listen to me speak, and I'll come out and do your TV show, and we'll air a show, and we'll have some kind of we'll do something. We'll have fun with you and Michael and the great people that you're introducing me to. You introduced me to Keisha and to Monica Bennett. So I know that you play in some nice big pools with some really great players. And so I look forward to come down and being a part of that. Thank you so much for honoring us with your time, for sharing with our viewers a little bit about why mediation is better than litigation, how they can be on your TV show, and how they can change careers, and how you can help them with all of it.
Great. Thanks again. Thanks for having me on, Cami.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Take care.